Jason is here.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jason Ward from MakingStarWars.net, and today we're going to be talking about this Rey movie, the hashtag Rey delay, as Matt Risman called it famously. And we're going to have Rob and Bespin with us today. We got two Robs for the price of one. Oh, we lost that extra Rob. Now there's just one Rob again. I don't know why there's two Robs.
It's one of them days.
Now there's two of them. How's it going, Mr. Bespin Bulletin? Mr. Bulletin?
All good, all good. Just getting flack for this Rey article, which isn't even mine, but cool.
Yeah, what happened with that? What?
Well, it's more than that. There's just like people like replying to the tweet being, I don't know, just being weird about it. Like, shoot the messenger. It's not my report. It's a report from an outlet that is good for smaller movies. Because I followed them for years. Yeah, I don't know. One of my friends texted me a picture and it was like, they quote tweeted it, and there's some dudes reply saying, "Oh, it's sources, trust me, bro.
Trust me, bro.
Best of Bolton and sources, trust me, bro." Like, yeah, mate, of course, yeah. Like, I don't know how many years I've been doing this at this point. Like, I don't know, since 2017. I've been doing this, maybe. So.
Yeah, well, it doesn't even matter because
No,
at the end of the day, you told that person something that they didn't want to hear, and then now every time you say something, don't hear it, trust me, bro. It's just it's a dumb game. Yeah, I have this one jackass who role plays as me. He's sort of like a Jason Ward LARPer. And trust me, bro, I'm a scooper. And goes out and tweets like doubt whenever there's anything, and people send it to me. And it makes me laugh because this same idiot, when I said that the Mando movie was on track to be a movie, did the doubt thing and got like likes from their little sewing circle. And then and I laughed when it panned out because it just shows what a total idiot that person is. And then today they're doing it again on this other outlet's report, which, as always, when it comes to a report about a Star Wars movie being delayed and what the story was, I'm always of the opinion that it's probably, like in this case, it's from a reputable outlet, so we should take it seriously. And it's probably mostly accurate. Maybe all of the stuff inside is kind of, maybe some of it's not right. Maybe it all is. But to go and to doubt that the Rey movie is indefinitely delayed when they just announced the next Star Wars movie is not the Rey movie that they announced was the next Star Wars movie makes you officially stupid. You're just stupid. I mean, in a lot of ways, this being delayed isn't surprising at all.
No.
Like, it's not. It's an official, like, yes, from the media, that side. It's happening. It is delayed, yeah. But we know that. We know this. This isn't like.
But the thing is, though, you see it all the time. People don't understand the term indefinitely delayed. They see that as, oh, it's cancelled, it's gone. Whereas in reality, it's just, it doesn't have a date. Like, it's just ridiculous. But it's a common thing.
Right. Well, the definition of indefinitely, for those who don't know, is for an unlimited or unspecified period of time, such as the talks can go on indefinitely. And that really pertains to this kind of situation, because what do you have when you have people writing and talking about that Rey movie internally at Lucasfilm? It's stuck in an indefinite loop of not going forward at the moment. Until they crack something, until something big happens, it's indefinitely delayed. But I'll share your article that you got.
Jason, I wrote a 3-film trilogy fan film on my own over the weekend. What's the big deal?
It's indefinitely delayed until Bespin and I read it and critique it. Oh. Yeah. But all right, so here we go. Daisy Ridley, this is from BespinBulletin.com. Oh yeah, before we get started, the best way to support the channel is to become a channel member or a Patreon supporter for Making Star Wars. And same thing here. If you read BespinBulletin.com, which is the site that we use all the time on this show, you can send him a coffee, or you can become a Patreon supporter of BespinBulletin.com.
And if you're low on funds, for the love of God, just leave a comment in the actual YouTube video, because that's how YouTube shares the video these days.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Comments do more than the likes, so definitely just leave a comment. Just be like, definitely, indefinitely. Just write that.
But just to be clear, cash is king. All right,
Cash is king. Cash is king. Cash would get the Rey movie done. Can we go fund me the Rey movie? Can we just give them money? So no. Okay.
No.
But the Saudis,
we could only fans a Rey movie if you want, though. You guarantee that.
They bought it, didn't they?
No.
We'll do some OnlyFans. I'll post some tongue pictures.
Oh my God.
That'll get.
Bespin's COVID tongue is gnarly. Let's just put it that way. I'm surprised you can speak. Okay, this is from BespinBulletin.com. Daisy Ridley's untitled Rey Skywalker Star Wars movie reportedly delayed indefinitely. Stephen Knight possibly exiting. And on that front,
I tried to dramatize it.
I took your picture, removed her, took Matt Risman's Rey delay, made a big Rey delay thing with her crying in front of it. So I feel like you and Matt Risman kind of made a baby on that one.
Mm-hmm.
And then Star Wars Santa cried, of course. Like
Riz.
Oh yeah, Star Wars Santa definitely cried a little bit when he heard this news. I don't know that for certain, but I can guarantee you, he had a Santa tear. And when it fell down, like it just totally drenched one of those little elves, and then he froze to death. And now his family can't eat this winter. Sad. The untitled Rey Skywalker movie, led by Daisy Ridley, is reportedly having issues in the creative process, and that due to these issues, the writer of the film may be on the verge of exiting, and the film itself has suffered an indefinite delay, which we will not define the word for you again. According to a new report from World of Real, that is I believe that's a reality TV show where they put 5 critics into a house, and for the very first time, they're going to have to live on their own without a TV. Is that correct?
World of Real. Is
it just a film? Yeah. I hope Puck's on it from Puck News. All right. Anyways, that went too old. That went MTV 1992. All right. An outlet I followed for a long time and read almost daily. According to a new report from the World of Real, an outlet I followed for a long time and read almost daily, the Daisy Ridley-led flick has suffered an indefinite delay. Real isn't known for breaking stories on blockbuster franchises such as Star Wars and Marvel, so the name might not be too familiar to my readers, but they get a lot right with smaller movies, which is why I follow their work. And it is kind of a different field, though, I will say, but at the same time, I believe them. For that reason, this report shouldn't be written off, but just because an outlet is reliable in one field doesn't mean they are in another. Good work, Bespin. That's what I was saying. You said it first, though. In their article, World of Real, that's a hard say. World of
Real.
Yeah. From mushmouth like me, it's difficult. Shares that they're
Hollywood. Kathleen Kennedy has started again.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? Like it's that time on the march voice, right?
Yeah.
It's pronunciation. You have to syllableize it properly, Jason.
Not to be confused with the zoology site World of Eel. All right. Shares that they aren't keen on looking for information on Star Wars, but that well-informed sources have shared details worth sharing. So most likely what we have here before we go on is, but we have Stephen Knight, who works more probably in their wheelhouse of films that they may cover. Probably they have a source probably close to Stephen Knight, and then the Star Wars news bleeds over through that because it's probably from something else, most likely. So World of Real are reporting that Disney has internally delayed the Rey Skywalker film indefinitely, which is why they've pivoted to The Mandalorian and Grogu being the next theatrically released feature film, and why the flick was announced last week. Real adds that due to the creative issues going on behind the scenes, Disney and Lucasfilm are no longer confident that the Rey film will release in the near future. As mentioned, the problems plaguing the Daisy Ridley-led film stem from creative issues. According to World of Real, Lucasfilm and the film's current writer, Stevie Knight, Peaky Blinders, are butting heads. Knight has reportedly submitted a draft, and Lucasfilm did not like what was turned in, giving Knight so many notes that he would essentially have to start from scratch on a new draft. The outlet goes on to say that Stephen Knight's frustration with the studio has continued to grow and is seemingly at a boiling point, as the writer might not be staying on board the Rey film. World of Real adds that Knight has put Star Wars on the back burner as he's focusing his efforts on completing the script for his Peaky Blinders movie, which is due to begin filming this summer, was due last fall, after suffering a delay in development and production due to the WGA SAG-AFTRA strikes. God, I can't wait until we hit the part of this where we never have to say WGA SAG-AFTRA
You've got a
again.
while. You've got like another
I
year
know.
or two.
I just can't wait though.
Was it like last year or something? They were still using COVID for a delay in a Tom Cruise movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm pretty sure they were.
Yeah. Last week, Making Star Wars reported that according to a source of his, Stephen Knight had yet to complete a draft of the Daisy Ridley-led feature, and added, "I'm not saying he's going to write it or not. I don't know." MSW shared that that sounds like me, shared that the scheduling and stars did not align for Knight and Lucasfilm. Development on the untitled Rey Skywalker movie began over 2 years ago with Damon Lindelof, Watchmen, and Justin Britt Gibson, Into the Badlands, writing the project. In 2022, Lindelof assembled a writer's room for the project, which was envisioned as a standalone film. But if successful, sequels could follow. Members of the Lindelof writer's room included Patrick Somerville, Station 11, Raina McClendon, Briar Patch, Andy Greenwald, Legion, and more, as well as some other members of the Lucasfilm Story Group. Like Filoni was rumored, right?
Mm-hmm.
In March of 2023, Lindelof and Britt Gibson exited the project and were immediately replaced by Stephen Knight. According to Jeff Snyder, who first broke that Lindelof was writing a Star Wars movie and was the first to break that he'd exited the project, Lindelof's scripts weren't good enough, and that Lucasfilm had no intention in working things out with Lindelof and Britt Gibson due to the quality of the script. Snyder added that he'd heard of friction between the two writers and Lucasfilm's president, Kathleen Kennedy, and the film's director, Sharmade Obaid-Chinoy. So, in April of 2023, the Rey Skywalker movie was officially announced at Star Wars Celebration. When on stage, Kennedy and Obaid-Chinoy revealed that the film was set 15 years after the events of Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker and would follow Rey as she attempted to construct a new Jedi Order. During the interviews that followed, Kennedy revealed that Stephen Knight was due to submit his draft in mid-May. However, this did not come to fruition as the Writers Guild of America strike began on May 2nd, 2023, and ran until the end of September 2023. During this time, Knight was not permitted to work on the script. In June, Lucasfilm set 3 release dates for untitled Star Wars movies: May 2026, December 2026, and December 2027. It was widely believed and reported by various insiders and trades that the untitled Rey Skywalker film would helm the May 22nd, 2026 date, and that the movie was Lucasfilm's priority, which was exactly true at the time. In November 2023, the film's lead, Daisy Ridley, shared that she believed her Rey movie was the next Star Wars movie to be released in theaters, further pointing to the May 2026 release window. However, last week, Lucasfilm announced The Mandalorian and Grogu, a film being written by Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, which the former would also direct. Within its announcement, Lucasfilm revealed that the film is set to enter production later this year and will lead Lucasfilm's theatrical slate, which includes the Rey movie, Dave Filoni's Mandalorian crossover event film, and James Mangold's untitled Star Wars movie that focuses on the first ever Jedi. Due to Lucasfilm's stating when production is due to the start of The Mandalorian and Grogu that it's going to lead to their theatrical slate, it's assumed to be taking the May 22nd, 2026 release window. God, it would almost be easier if these were just like window 1, window 2, window 3, because it's so confusing to keep all of their bullshit straight. So anyways, and then that's the end of the article. So yeah, with that right there, like, if you think about it, if it's not, is it delayed or not? What say your sources? Well, ever since we were moving into this Mando concept, I mean, that's been an implied delay, I would say. That seems fair, right? I mean, ever since we knew that they were going to go and do this Mando direction instead,
they're going to release 2 Star Wars movies in the same weekend.
Yeah. No,
Hey,
no.
right, folks.
Well, but what I think this is actually saying right now, I think the silver lining for us is it's probably going to mean that we go Mando movie 1, Mando movie 2, then the Rey film if they have their way. Because that if you go both Mando movies in that order, obviously it's good for the, synergy of the two films, gets some momentum going. You don't confuse the audience, and maybe it allows you to develop this Rey movie as well as you can. Obviously you can overdevelop as well. I mean, we might end up in that situation with it, where you have so much stuff planned that the first movie's not even fun, like it's happened. But
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
happened
matter of fact,
before.
go look to Star Trek the motion picture as being something that was overdeveloped. Started out as a TV series that was going to have a whole new cast, ended up being a reunion film.
Wow.
You know what I mean? That was like loosely a remake of an episode of Star Trek that none of the characters mentioned in the fucking movie. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And then the production's given almost no time, and Douglas Trumbull manages to pull out some kind of win. But it feels like an overstuffed, long, bloated special effects, blah 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 blah. Like this does happen.
Well, if we look at if we theorize that the Rey movie is going to come out in December 2027, at that point that movie would have been in some form of development for 6 years by the time it releases, because they started work on it in 2021. Lindelof did,
Right.
so that would have been a long time. But if they need to get it right, they need to get it right. And we were on here like literally a week ago saying how it would be better to have Mando in May 26th and then the Filoni flick in December 2026. That's what we wanted. But we were fearful that the Rey film would be slammed in the middle. If this is accurate, and nobody's saying it is or isn't, then chances are like it will get pushed. Or we could be in a situation where one of those dates disappears, which is also a possibility.
I think so. I mean, when you get down to it, I mean, we do know. I believe it's very evident that what Lucasfilm is currently doing, and it's also, to use the same word again, overdeveloping their Star Wars stuff, so that way they definitely have something ready to go, and that way they could hit release windows.
Which has been the logic for the last few years, and it's why they've flung dates at walls repeatedly, but haven't said which film is attached to which date. And it just comes through us or the trades or somebody to say, well, we're hearing this one. Like for the longest time, Taika was December 2025. And then this happens, the Rey movie, and it gets a lot of momentum and development behind the scenes. It's like, no, it's Rey. It's the Rey movie, which is now May 2026. And then it's just an ongoing thing. But they've never committed to a date, even with the Mandalorian Grogu, by saying, we're filming it later this year. It's the first film to release on our theatrical slate. They didn't say it's May 22nd, 2026, even though that's the first film, that's the first date on their theatrical slate. They're still being non-committal to everything and have been for years at this point.
Well, yeah. I mean, Shane Peterson, look at what Shane is asking, why do they need a writer's room for a movie? Then you have the Lucasfilm Story Group, and it's literally a room full of monkeys with typewriters. Well, the Lucasfilm Story Group, on the Story Group side, it seems like most of that stuff is a suggestive group to filmmakers like J.J. Abrams. They suggested Luke Skywalker not be in the movie until the end. I believe that was Rain Roberts' concept. And then J.J. likes it and he takes it. And then they suggest things that could be novels. Oh, wouldn't it be cool if we did a novel about the glove of Darth Vader? They make the glove of Darth Vader and that kind of stuff. So that's not really what that doesn't do. They don't even get the typewriters usually. And then they're a peer review group more than, I would say. My impression of them is that they are more of a peer review group, as in the writer writes the thing and then they sit around and talk about it.
I'm not a fan of it, Jason, and not just in Lucasfilm in general, but in practice for live action, that kind of story group, I'm not a fan of. It didn't work for Marvel Studios in the beginning. A lot of the shitty Marvel moves you got, especially in Age of Ultron, came from their story group out of New York, as documented in their own Marvel Studios book. If you don't believe me, go read it. I think this idea in the modern context comes from the Pixar trust, the group of Pixar, the founding of Pixar. You had that group of like Lasseter and Stanton and Pete
Mhm.
Docter and all these guys, and the dude who did the Caterpillar voice who passed away. They would sit around like watch the the animatics and the work in progress and have like story meetings and give sort of have like an internal dialogue. The difference there, though, is that's a group of creators who are also moving the company forward in their own projects. A group of people sitting behind the scenes who aren't actively making anything, no matter how smart and intelligent, PhD they may be, or CEO, acumen, accredited, blah 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 blah. It's always just going to be an opinion. It's not going to be really informed by, and it's not like a production of peers. So one could pick up
Well,
the ball
but
if the other's dropping, kind of thing.
what their
Like,
what their process is where that works or doesn't, though, because we don't know a lot of very specifics about what that is.
correct, but
Like
I'm
like
saying
like
based on
but
everything I've heard,
um
I'm not a fan of this modern
Bespin,
iteration of a story group.
Bespin, I'm drawing a blank. Who was the guy from Skins who worked on Kenobi,
On Kenobi? Do you mean on?
on the film? Oh, I'm sorry, on episode
It,
9.
it was
Episode 9,
episode
not
9. It was the guy that did the fucking Cursed Child book.
yeah, yeah. I'm drawing a blank on his name right now.
Yeah,
Um,
I can't remember his name either.
all right, hold on.
Yeah, that's
He
what I'm
created
doing. I'm googling it.
he created Skins, right?
Jack Thorne.
Jack Thorne. So what they are reporting right now about Stephen Knight is 100% the story that I heard from a Jack Thorne source. And it was the same exact thing. That poor man had a very bad time chasing down their bullshit, essentially, as they were just kept throwing it, and then he just, I guess, like, burned out on it, fucking left.
It's not the same thing as a writer's room, folks, but a writer's room is when you literally have a
Okay.
a showrunner, or say a producer, however you want to work that out, whatever that title comes to be. You have anywhere from 2 to 5, 7 writers. Sometimes depends on how that goes. But these are people who are actively paid writers. They're actual storytellers. They write scripts. They're writers sitting in a room, going through whiteboarding, ideation, and story development, actual tracking things along. And this produces a final result. It isn't just endless notes or suggestions or ideas. It actually is moving the ball forward in a direction. So, like, that's actually what we've all been asking for, and when you think about it, people have been saying, since specifically the Rise of Skywalker, hey, why don't they have a direction? Why don't they get together some story guys and actually figure this stuff out? Don't just make it up, go the auteur way. That looks to be what they were doing, and then they just rejected all of it.
So two things, though. Why they had a writer's room, to answer that, it probably wasn't just because Damon Lindelof is lazy, and Justin Britt
It was
Gibson
Lindelof's
was
writer's
lazy.
room as well.
No,
He picked those
right.
people.
But what I'm suggesting is that it was probably because they're developing a whole era of stories and storytelling and what the ramifications of such things could be. Kind of like when they brought in Simon Kinberg for Star Wars Rebels, and Greg Weisman for Star Wars Rebels, and Dave Filoni for Star Wars Rebels, and so on. You end up developing, oh, here's the whole era, and then that stuff ends up informing Andor. Like, it's the source material for Andor, believe it or not. Like, not that it's not his story, but it says the political climate of the time. So I think that that's probably why that writer's room was put together on that one. I don't know that for certain.
Yeah.
No, it
but
definitely
that's
was,
probably
but, like,
what it was. Somebody asked the
That
question
makes
a minute
sense.
ago. Yeah.
That makes sense.
But we
You know
don't know
what?
if that writer's room still exists at the moment.
No.
Because again, they were Lindelof's choices who he wanted to work with. Some of them had worked with him on The Leftovers before, specifically. Yeah. So we don't know if they went when Lindelof and Britt Gibson departed. But, regardless, like you said, Stephen Knight could now be in a similar position of Jack Thorne. Like, going away from this writer's room thing that we're doing right now, because obviously there's a lot more to delve into the story. But yeah, I think you're right. He could be in the Jack Thorne position where he comes in briefly, takes over, doesn't have a good time, struggles to meet the demands, and eventually somebody else comes in and takes over.
The thing that I found interesting about like the report was though is they're like, oh, they gave so many notes like he had to start over, and that's one of the things that makes me go like, of course he had to start over. Like Rey was supposed to be, according to the Snyder report, like a geriatric woman,
Right,
and then
right.
now she, no, I mean, and now she's not, and all of that stuff. So there was no way, even without the notes, he wasn't going to start over though. You can't just change the line. No, now she's 35.
No, I know, but I think when he first started, likely, like he obviously probably would have implemented that idea of she's no longer there. She is 35 years old. She's this, wherever. He did what they likely asked him to do to a degree.
Yeah.
And then when the script was submitted, they were like, well, we don't like a lot of this.
Yeah.
You know? So even though
sure.
some of those ideas were implemented, say, even when he first started working on it in February, March, like we get to this point and they aren't happy with the vision that he's submitted. You know?
If you all want to see this happen in real time, as documented by the documentary film The Sweatbox, you can see Sting, Jason's favorite singer, Sting.
I like Sting. Sting is good.
All for
Phil
one,
Collins
one for
fucking
all.
sucks. Don't you confuse Sting and Phil Collins,
one,
friend.
One for all. And
that's not his fault.
He was brought
that was some Epstein Island stuff. They had dirt on him. He had no choice.
He was brought in to make some songs for this movie called Empire of the Sun or Kingdom of the Sun, whichever it was called.
Empire of the Sun was the Steven Spielberg movie, right?
Yeah, Kingdom of the Sun. So whatever. And working title became Emperor's New Groove. But you see a thing where a guy's supposed to come on for like 6 months, and he's on this thing for 2 years, and he's like, I'm not even in the same spot. You know, why does he keep? He's like, why do I keep sticking around with this? You can see the phone calls Disney makes to him, like, hey, so we got a thing, and now it's a thing, and now this guy's left, and then, like this does really happen the way sometimes we speak about it in like a goofier term. It does happen at Disney. Like, this is not new. So go watch the Sweat. Anytime one of these stories comes along, Jason, or I hate my job. Sometimes I hate my job, right? We all sometimes it's a job. It's a job's a job. As fun as it may be, it's a job. And I'm like, Rob, I throw a little pity party for myself. I go, I'm gonna put on the Sweatbox. I always feel bad. People get worse. Go watch the Sweatbox.
Yeah, I mean, no, like, when you get down to it, this stuff is complicated. In terms of like what you're saying, Rob. Yeah, I know what you mean, but it's also like this isn't like the kind of situation where you just go and you're like working on a 6-film series or something like that.
But what I'm saying,
so many things
if he had a
that
conversation
has to be
and
tracked.
It was like, if Stephen Knight thought he was just going to do a script rewrite, right? And we're just going to give me some notes, and then maybe I'll have this thing, and there'll be a second draft, no big deal. But it turns out to be really back to formula at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Then it's like, well, I didn't sign up for that. You know what I mean? Like, that's not what was pitched to me.
But I also I also have a hard time though just looking at what we knew of it before he even came aboard, and then for him to think that as a professional at his level that he would be blindsided by that.
Sometimes when you see those dollar signs, you get the best of maybe they actually mean it this time.
Yeah, I mean he's a big name, so he may have got that, but a lot of the times the money isn't that great from them. You know what I mean?
Or he just believed him. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, no, I mean, it might be, imagine you're written, seasons of Peaky Blinders, and then the guy who writes a visual dictionary for Return of the Jedi tells you how to do your job. You might be like, fuck you. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. That might be the case. I don't know.
I tell you, I disagree with the version of a story group as it being currently conceived, not just within Lucasfilm, but within other companies. Like, I don't believe in this.
But that concept and that whole thing, it doesn't. It's weird. It sounds like it's, like I said, it's mostly just you can't do that because he's not IG-13 now, he's IG-11 again. That kind of stupid shit mostly. Probably none of that actually matters to slowing him down on that stuff, especially in that era. That's the other thing about it though, is in that era he should have more free time, more leeway just to do what the script needed to do, because it doesn't fucking matter what Dengar's doing that week. At that point, you could say whatever you want. Nobody's gone that far. So that's where I'm like, I believe the report. I am also just of the opinion I don't think he's gonna see this through. And I was feeling this before we even got here. I was thinking this before when we were getting to the Mando stuff. I'm like, he might write on it. He'll probably get credit because he's a big name. When all is said and done, who knows if he'll even, be on it. I hope that's not the case though. I hope everything is smooth and the report is just inaccurate. That'd be great for, for everything.
If you look at like the past reports of this movie,
yeah,
about how fast Lucasfilm wanted to go. So when this was the May 2026 film and we were in the midst of the writer's strike,
yeah,
they were still hoping to start shooting in May. They were looking to start casting by, was it Labor Day of last year?
mm-hmm.
So even at that point, with Night on, they were still moving fast. So
Yeah.
Night might have been brought on and told that, hey, yeah, you're gonna do maybe 1 or 2 drafts, and we're into filming. We're rushing
Right,
this
that's what I
project
was saying.
essentially.
Yeah.
And that, now he's handed in the draft possibly. They aren't a fan of what he's done. He's obviously disgruntled. And they've said, listen, we're pivoting to Mando. You have more time.
Yeah.
And you do what you do for us. Maybe he won't be there. But if you look at Taika Waititi, you reported last year that he had until the end of the year to submit a draft.
Mhm.
I think somebody, either you or Snyder, did say he did submit a draft, and it got to the point of he is now, and he said this publicly himself, that that's on the back burner for him. He's going to complete other movies before going back. Because
Yeah, I remember
Lucasfilm
that.
have told him, we are covered for X, Y, and Z. We don't need you now. Do what
Mhm.
you need to do, and we'll come back to you. And it could
Yeah.
be a similar thing for Night, in the sense of
Mhm.
we're doing Mando and Grogu for May 2026.
Yeah, movie 1,
You-
then movie 2,
yeah.
or Mando 1 and Mando 2.
Yeah, so we don't need this from you as quickly as we used to.
Yeah.
You have, say, 3 to 6 months additional time to give us what we need. And that might be what he is, because now he's focusing his efforts on the Peaky Blinders film, which was supposed to start shooting in the fall of last year. Now shoots in this summer. So that even was a priority for him before this. Like he's the creator of that franchise. That's his claim to fame in the modern day.
Mhm.
That's what people know him for. And he's going to get far more recognition as a writer and a creator for that like film, even though it won't be as successful as Star Wars.
Is that film wrapping up Peaky Blinders, or is it just in a movie in the Peaky Blinders universe?
It's wrapping up Peaky Blinders.
Okay.
And then at the same time, he's also developing spin-off series at Netflix
Mhm.
for Peaky Blinders. So he's got a lot going on, even outside of the Star Wars stuff.
Right.
But again, I've never been a fan of him as a writer. You
Same.
also watched a bunch of his series.
I'm a fan of Stephen Estonite, the guy who was in charge of Daredevil. This is the Stephen Knight I'm a fan of. Like this other one, yeah.
But Colin gave a $5 super chat. Ballin' Colin. Thank you, Colin. Could Rey being outed as Palp's storyline be a good way to rectify not doing it for Luke, Leia, and also maybe make that Tross reveal more Palpatineable? And yeah, I do think so. I mean, because we had that fallout only in the subtext of the books and stuff like that. We didn't really get it in the main, film stuff to the film audience. It's a new idea. It's like novel concept to them. And so if they were to go and make it, Rey comes back and yeah, she's a Palpatine. But I'm also of the opinion that because you know how Kathleen Kennedy said that that Mangold's first Jedi movie and the Rey movie would talk to each other. That's where I buy into like what I call the witch concept. And that's that, it's witchcraft. The Force is bad. The Jedi are bad. Using the Force is not a good thing. You're a heretic. Don't do it. It leads to bad things. And then you obviously have the galaxy, the first Jedi will overcome that, become accepted as being like, oh, the galaxy needs you. You're good. And it will last that way for thousands of years. And then, but by the time we get to the Palpatine times, Luke Skywalker himself is saying, the time for the Jedi to end It's not good. This hasn't been good for us. And we do know that, in the end, Luke Skywalker comes around and is like, yeah, it is good. And he does the right thing. And Rey does save the galaxy and the Jedi are good. But I think that I think it's going to be coming at the same problem from two different angles. The first one is the first Jedi is going to be, how do we get people to even accept us? And then the next one is, how do we get people to trust us again? And so I think that's just my sense on that's my storytelling sense about where they would take it, how those two things talk to each other in the simplest way. But that's obviously speculation. That's not, I haven't heard anything that makes me go like, yeah, like that's definitely it. So, but I had to Google palpable to see it as I typed it out. All right. Anyways, yeah, but we also had like another story. Should we hit the other one too?
The Andor one?
Yeah, should we hit the Andor
Yeah,
one today?
probably.
Well, before we do, really quick, I mean, just to reiterate, I mean, how do we all? I mean, as fans, how do we all feel about this one, Jason? Like, where you sitting? Like
Yeah, I
outside
don't.
of a journalist, like.
Yeah, I thought, well, as a fan and as a whatever, I felt that going and doing a sequel trilogy with Rey, and then going, okay, we're done, we're going in a new direction, and coming right back with the Rey movie. I never thought that was the best idea. I never thought that was essentially like what you. I mean, I get why they would do it. I get how it would work. So, and I'm not against it, but I was like, okay, like cool, I guess. And so going to the Mando side of things, I think makes more sense. I think it makes more business sense. I think it makes more merchant, on the merch side. I think it's going to be easily fun. And in the end, it, might just amount to a couple of fun action movies. But I think it'll be more than that with Filoni's. So I think with Favreau's we'll get a fun action movie, and then with Filoni's we'll expand that lore, and of the Thrawn thing. I do think that there will likely be 3 of those, and if that third one ends up happening, we might not need this Rey movie for like 3-4 years theoretically, which means they might not need to start production on it for 2 years if that's where this ends up going. I do think that would be a smarter take for them to do. I do want more Rey movies at the same time. I'm excited for it. I'm excited to get into the post episode 9 era and like see what they do with it and stuff like that. So, at the end of the day though, I just think that the Mando movies is what they should do at this moment. I disagree with Boris Kit from the trades who was saying, "Who asked for this?" doing that shit. I think that's so dumb because people love the Mandalorian and Grogu. So why wouldn't you lean into that? Why try to have to do the uphill battle of convincing people about why they want another Rey movie when you have something that they're already convinced that they probably want? That's where I fall on it.
I've never
Yeah.
been a fan of the approach that they've taken for the last handful of years, where
Mm-hmm.
they were like, there's a Rogue Squadron movie, a Taika movie, and a Feige movie. All these
Mm-hmm.
stories separate and individual, they're not connected. And either way, if any of them are successful, we'll develop sequels to them. So I've never liked the idea of, okay, we'll have all these 3 movies, and after those 3 movies, we'll do a sequel to one of them, maybe. Like that always felt ridiculous to me. And it's the same notion with the announcements of that Star Wars Celebration last year of, yeah, there's this Rey movie, the crossover movie, and Mando.
Mm-hmm.
What if one of those is such a success that it would be a no-brainer to follow that up? But you have to wait 6 years until the other films are already being released. I've never been a fan of it. I think pivoting this way, because if you remember the reports shortly after, I think, Celebration from the trades, they said that the reasoning that they picked a Rey movie and a Mandalorian crossover movie is they are not scared. I don't think they use the term scared, but they wanted to reintroduce themselves theatrically in the safest way possible. And
Yes.
they saw that possible with the Mandalorian stuff and the Rey stuff. They know what sort of built-in audience they would get for both, likely. Um, I'm not saying that they think both films will cost $1 billion. It's probably never going to happen, but successful enough to reintroduce Star Wars to the big screen. And I think as time's gone on and how successful The Mandalorian has been, having the next three movies be Mando and Grogu, Filoni's film, and then a possible third, that should be what you do now. Because I always got concerned of introducing Star Wars to the youngest generation, because it was always people you and Rob's age, and then dropping down to people my age who grew up with the prequels, But a lot of kids got introduced to Star Wars through Grogu. You'd see, when the sequel trilogy was first happening, you'd go to like Disneyland or wherever, and you'd see a ton of little Reys running around, which is exactly what they wanted, of course. And then a handful of years later, you're seeing these like little kids running around with Grogu's in their arms. Like he in and of himself became a bit of a phenomenon, and The Mandalorian became Disney Plus's biggest success. So building upon that and going and releasing 3 Mandalorian tied movies is naturally the next best thing to do. Again, these films probably won't make you $1 billion and whatever else, but if you budget the movies correctly, which they haven't been doing in recent years, and market it correctly, you're going to do fine. You're going to make money. You're going to bring in a built-in audience that's already there, and hopefully you can sell it to an audience that hasn't even tuned into it. I think this is the best way forward. I'm in agreement with you. I've never liked the idea of the first film back being the Rey movie. I liked 2 of the 3 sequels. I like Rey's character for the most part, up until what they did to her in the 3rd movie. And I always felt it was weird that you're doing a sequel of sorts to the sequel trilogy as the next lineup. I also thought that was weird. I thought they needed more time. I wasn't opposed to a Rey-centered series on Disney Plus or whatever. Like, that could have been fine. But I think, reintroducing fans to the theaters with The Mandalorian is the smartest thing possible at this point in time. And who knows, like, if we get the next 3 movies as the Mando movies, we could be looking at like 2032 or something for the Rey movie, or 2031, or whatever it may be, because obviously Avatar comes out in between the Star Wars movies. So it could be a while away. And that's why I am so convinced we're never going to see a lot of the stuff they've announced, such as Taika's movie and Mangold's movie and wherever else. Because, again, last year, how confident was everybody that this Rey movie was next? This was going to be Star Wars' comeback to cinemas. And look at us now, not even a year removed from when Daisy came onto that stage. We're already like, that movie's like delayed, and now we're on to The Mandalorian. So, like, that's why I've never been confident that anything they've announced will make it to the big screen. The Mandalorian Grogu does seem closer, because they're going to film it relatively soon, hopefully, because even though they've said it, we can't trust them. But so it looks like they're trying to get the ducks in a row, and maybe the Rey thing isn't part of that for a while.
Well, it's like when we were on the road to this moment that we're at, it was like, that Rey movie was their, from their perspective, I think, their Mando movie idea. And what I'm saying is that was their easy given. Oh, it's a Rey Skywalker making Jedi stuff. Easy peasy lemon squeezy, they thought to themselves. But then you have like I said, there was a faction at Disney that was like, what are we doing? It's Mando. And then with Mando being delayed, like, they wanted that Mando stuff, because that Mando stuff does sell shit. People go, the Rey merchandise doesn't sell. Okay, number one, you don't know what you're talking about, because it's the amount of merchandise that's made. They don't make the same amount of every merch. Not every single thing is the same amount. And so they are making an assumption. I'm not saying it does sell either. I actually don't know. But when you just see stuff like hanging out, on the store shelves or making it to the 99-cent store, it might just be like one company, for instance, was told that Finn was the main character of The Force Awakens, and they had to eat their shirt on that. They made all of the stuff as if he was the main protagonist of it. And then everybody cried, where's the Rey merchandise? You know what I mean? So
I can give you a real world example of this. Back when Iron Man 3 was getting ready to launch, we got the first style guy at the shirt company I was working at, and the Super Patriot, Iron Patriot, whatever it's called, Super Patriot. The
okay,
red, white, and blue Iron Man armor was in this thing. And I'm familiar with the storyline. In the storyline in the comics, that's Norman Osborn and he's a bad guy. Now, they're like, no, this is the new hero. It even says in the guy side, this was the new hero for the new movie. And I'm like, guys, that guy's a villain in the comics. And they're like, the comics are different, Rob. You don't understand. I'm like, look, man, he's red, white, and blue. He ain't gonna be the hero of this movie.
yeah,
Watch him kidnap the president or something. Like, I made this joke, right? They put him on everything, Jason. They put him on everything. And sure enough, that movie comes out. He kidnaps the vice president in the fucking movie. Like, you can't even make and kids don't want to, they're not rocking the evil America looking Iron Man to school.
right.
So like those shirts just sat there. They all went to a place called Styling Island. The Styling Island buys all the bulk stuff, sells them cheaper. But like what I'm saying is Walmart, Target took a hit on that. They wanted Iron Man and they got this other evil one. And it's like, but they told us it was the hero. Yeah, they're gonna tell you what are they supposed to do? Tell you the fucking plot? Like so
Lead Man. They got Lead Man, Iron Man's sister.
What generally happens with licensors is they get like to go to the premiere sometimes, right? Not the main building, but that one adjacent, right? That secondary building. And so
they're over like at the El Capitan. A couple doors down.
And they're always like, we're going to the premiere. And I'm like, so people who didn't work on this shit go to the premiere and then fucking whatever. All those artists sit there like, oh, I'm saying at work. They come back the next day and go, guys, we're going to change everything.
Yeah.
This also happened on Age of Ultron. The Hulk was originally gray.
Yeah.
The Hulk was gray. And everything we did had gray Hulk on it. And like overnight, we had to go and change 250 designs to be green Hulk,
Yeah.
So it does happen.
Yeah. So that whole angle is just, I mean, is there anything though easier to sell than Grogu stuff, especially like with a film? I think it makes a lot of sense. And I also think it makes a lot of sense because when you get down to it, children, the children that have grown up with Mando, like my son is one of them and he's 10 years old now. By the time this series wraps with the 2 films, he'll probably be nearly 13.
In Mortal Kombat age.
Well, no, but that's about the time when the stuff that you liked when you were between ages 5 and 13, that you stop liking it and you move on. And that you start doing other things. So I do think that, obviously Star Wars needs to retain and continue to bring in people, but it's also the time when it's time to give it a rest on that arc in that story and to move to another chapter. And I think that getting that wrapped up with 2 films to 3 films makes the most sense. And it's a great thing. I think it's a good thing for Disney Plus too, because it tells Star Wars fans to pay attention to the stuff on Disney Plus, because it may be what leads to Star Wars films.
I'm just sort of
theatrical stuff.
That given how financially successful book adaptations to film have been with Harry Potter, Twilight, Hunger Games, the movies that Kathleen Kennedy were following as a guidepost for the audience they wanted to bring in for the sequel trilogy, that they didn't just put a full effort into writing a Rey's sequel trilogy into books or a series of books that then they can then adapt into films. Like I just like, but people would know what's going to happen. They don't care. They don't care. Like financially, that's proven to no one gives a shit. Everyone knows how Percy Jackson ain't gonna work out. People go see Percy Jackson. They go watch the Harry Potter films. They know they're gonna go watch. The ones they didn't know that were gonna turn out were the those Fantastic Beast films, and those are the ones that didn't do so well. So like, I think if they could build a cult following, not cult following, but you know what I mean, a good cult, right? With the book series, then you could adapt, and what doesn't work in the book series, you just adjust for the films, and like you build, because those kids are reading, like they still read the YA groups.
But I mean, it's like, so number one, before I forget, thank you for being a channel member forever, Santa. Appreciate it so much, dude. And he says to like today's show, and he's Santa Claus. You got to listen to him. And But Will Morgan, also channel member. Thank you, Will, for being a channel member, as always. No one in this chat gave up on Star Wars after age 14. And well, the truth is, around age 14 was when I started liking punk rock as much as I liked Star Wars. So Star Wars wasn't my focus then. And then it was kind of like I went on with my teenage life and then started to miss it. And then the Phantom Menace came out. And I was like, oh, I'm back, baby. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I'm pretty much the same as you. Like
Mm-hmm.
when I turned around that age, about 13 or whatever, I sort of just dropped everything I'd interest in, like in film and video games, anything, and like you, just focused solely on music.
Yeah.
That was my interest that consumed all of my time, and then just like you, after a handful of years, I came back to it of all the things I loved, and I'm still here now. But no,
I'm the opposite of you guys. I never gave up Star Wars until the Attack of the Clones, and then I just threw away that lightsaber. I threw away all my shit and walked away from it.
Such a quitter.
I was like Spider-Man no more, right?
Yeah. Geek Furious says Mando and Grogu going first gives them a good idea of how much they want to promote Grogu being in the Rey movie, and that's crossed my mind before because, when I say the implied story, that's just my implied story. But when you have like the son coming back and you have, from Mortis, this god, this force god thing, and Luke Skywalker, all these Jedi who could fight it, I still think if the movie is essentially called Mando and Grogu's going to have to do something. Grogu's going to get Yoda's lightsaber in that movie and use it. That I'm just of the opinion that how do you leave that on the table? And when all is said and done, Din might die. He might not live because, Pedro Pascal's hard to get to use. And at some point, you've told the story with them and it's where it might go. So where I'm taking this is that we could end up with Grogu becoming a Jedi. He might be a part of that thing down the road. I don't know. I'm not sure how you make it all fit. Why wasn't he in 9? But the Ahsoka thing is another example. It's a big galaxy. People aren't always there for everything. But it would be smart though, wouldn't it? I mean, if you got to that Rey movie and all of a sudden like we know that the Mando movie's done and Grogu's done, and then we just get to Grogu now and he's like we get to adult Grogu. Because I don't know if it's the best thing. It's a bit obvious to go like the Groot route. And now here's teenage Grogu. Do we want teenage Grogu or do we just want to go right to adult Grogu from this? In reality, like on screen, in the big picture on film.
Well, it would be adult Grogu, but what if those films aren't received that well? What if people are sick and tired of Grogu by the time the Rey movie rolls around and he's reintroduced?
Yeah.
Like that could be a factor into it. That maybe they want to take a break from him.
What if Grogu becomes the Ezra Miller of Star Wars, right? Where you just like can't, or double down. We get 2 Grogus in the film, like.
KM22 says, didn't Kathleen Kennedy come out and say there is no existing material for us to use, even though there's literally so much EU Legends material? Well, that right there gets I think misconstrued a lot. I mean, I think it's to me, it seems clear her thing is saying there aren't these books that are completely adaptable that just work and fit in every single thing. Like you can't go do Heir to the Empire. I know the fans just think you can, but you can't. It wouldn't work. It doesn't work that way. They changed too much. They moved on to a new canon. So, and most of that stuff though is not actually that great. If it's some of your favorite stuff, you guys, I know, but when you get down to it, a lot of it doesn't adapt to a film well. A lot of it's not structured to be a film. And it's not Harry Potter. It's not Lord of the Rings. There are no Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, Star Wars books like that. Like that's just not really a thing.
You could create that movie forward was my positive.
But also but on that accusation kind of thing where it goes, I'm not saying KM22 is taking it there, but where some of the people do take it a little bit more, the uneven people. It's like, you know what? We've seen a lot of Legend stuff being adapted into the material already. like we have
Right,
seen
element.
it. So yeah, so it's like, so it doesn't, not that big of a thing. It's not like a gotcha thing, because yeah, they've been pulling what they want from it the whole time. I mean,
Throne is literally from it, you know.
Mm-hmm. And some of it might be just be parallel thinking, like, oh, the Skywalkers have kids, blah blah blah. But there are things that do seem to, even from the sequel trilogy, that do seem to be at least inspired by those directions to some extent, you know. But yeah, it's a weird, it's a weird thing. Everything with Star Wars is so personal. Everybody's, we have these experiences that are all like kind of like shared, but at the same time, you know, when people connected with it is just such a personal thing, and that's how books are. You know what I mean? Like I've read books and I'm just like, oh man, this is the best thing I've ever read. And then you try to tell somebody why they should read it, and then they just don't have that connection to the book when they read it, you know? It's just it's so, some of the stuff is personal in that way. All right, before we get too late here. Are we okay? We are almost an hour in, by the way. If you are watching on Instagram, it may cut you in a second. If it does, come on over to a YouTube and hang out with us if you want. We'd like to have you. Diego Luna reveals he only has 7 days left of filming on Star Wars Andor Season 2, returning to London today. And with that right there, which kind of lines up with that trade report where they said there's about 7 days of shooting left or something like that at one point, didn't they?
They said in a few weeks. Yeah.
Okay. Star of Andor, this is from bestmanbulletin.com. Star of Andor, Diego Luna, has shared that production resuming on the second and final season of Andor is imminent. Yesterday, when on the Emmys red carpet, Diego Luna spoke with Variety briefly and revealed that he was due to fly back to London today, January 16th, 2024, to resume work on the second season of Andor, or Andor, depending on who you are, which had production shut down in July due to the SAG-AFTRA strike. Luna, there it is again. Luna added that he had just 7 days left of filming and seemed excited about the prospect of finally ending Cassian Andor's story. You can read his quote from Variety below. The good thing about Andor is that we know it has an ending. And it's nice to work knowing there's an ending. And you can aim for something, you know? We're getting there. I have a few days to shoot because of the strike. I have 7 days, so I'm going tomorrow. I'm flying back to London, and we're finishing this. Yeah. You think they're going to film the Ring of Catherine right now? You think that that's what the last 7 days are? Anyways, Diego Luna, I asked if they had built that set to a couple of people. I never got like a positive, like we rebuilt the set. I'm sure they did, or they are now, but I'm curious if that's what it is, or if it's just random shit. Diego Luna also spoke with Hollywood Reporter on the Emmys red carpet, telling the outlet the same as he did Variety, that the production is a few days from being completed. He added that he's hoping the second and final season can be as good, if not better, than the first, and that due to how close the season runs up to Rogue One: A Star Wars Story, many things are expecting to happen will occur. In the finale, it's second and last season, and we're a few days away from being done. Because of the strikes, we had to stop. I'm going back to shoot now, and we're working hard. Same team, same people, same rigor. We're trying to deliver something as good or even better, hopefully. It's getting so close to Rogue One. So many things you're expecting to happen will happen. So I think we're going to meet K2SO. Is that what he's talking about? Luna also expressed to THR that he believes critics are such a fan of this Star Wars series, which was up for 8 Emmy Awards last night, as opposed to the others. Diego shared that he believes it's due to the writing, with the show focusing on the intimate life of characters, their behavior, and the relationship showcased in the series, along with its darker tone. I think the tone of the show, the writing of the show is very special. It's different. Also, it's a darker tone. It's Star Wars from a different angle, where we take care of stuff you don't see in the other Star Wars series. The intimate life of characters, the way they behave, their personal relations. It's a spy show. It's dark. It's different. Diego Luna. Never forget. The second season of Andor first began filming in November of 2022 at Pinewood Studios, London. The series filmed across various locations in the United Kingdom and even filmed scenes in Malta. However, the second season was forced to postpone filming in July last year, shortly after the SAG-AFTRA strike began. Filming on the series continued for at least a week following the start of the strike, as the production attempted to film all they could without their SAG-AFTRA actors, which included the stars of the series, such as Diego Luna and Adria Arjona. In July, following the photos showing that Andor was still filming during the SAG-AFTRA strike, Deadline reported that the scenes being filmed were without the SAG actors, and that filming on the second and final season would come to a grinding halt shortly, as there were scenes remaining that couldn't be filmed without the SAG actors. Deadline revealed that Andor would still film without the SAG actors for a short period of time, but that the production did pause. They were only a few weeks away from wrapping production with the SAG actors. Diego's comments seem to reflect the Deadline report from the summer that Andor Season 2 only had a few weeks left of filming. Luna, the series lead, only had 7 days of filming before the Andor story concludes, and that he'll arrive in London today ready to start work. Just because Luna arrives in London today, it most certainly does not mean that he'll begin filming this week. Yeah, there could be a little bit of rehearsals, right? Or even the filming itself begins this week. But filming resumes on the second season is imminent and will likely be all said and done come February. Some social media users and outlets didn't do any research claiming that Andor Season 2 resumed filming in November. This was due to the snowtroopers being spotted at Pinewood. However, the tweet at the time, this was not for Andor and for Pinewood's Future Festival, which we immediately corrected, by the way. And the people who took it and ran with it, who saw the initial thing, also saw the correction tweet and didn't do anything about it because they wanted engagement because they're fucking vampires. The second and final
we hate
season
vampires. Fuck.
was due to release this year, specifically around August. However, in September, I exclusively reported that the season had been delayed into early 2025 as multiple Star Wars series were delayed due to the impact of the WGA strikes. I'm not saying SAG-AFTRA ever again. Fuck them. Actors are idiots. In December, Andor Season 2 did not appear. I'm just going to call it the fucking nannies, the institution of the nanny. Remember her? In December, Andor Season 2 did not appear on a Disney Plus 2024 release schedule, and Jermaine of Gizmodo added, from what he'd heard, Andor Season 2 had been moved into 2025, corroborating my report from 3 months earlier, which you got no love on, and you deserved. Those sons of bitches. But yeah. So there we go, man. We got
shooting out in the island of Malta, they'll get Sweet Haven in the film somehow? Yeah, that set's still there, Jason.
Wait, what's Sweet Haven?
Popeye.
What?
The Popeye movie.
Oh, Popeye.
They built that whole town, and it's still there as a theme park. You know, they could have Andor walk around Sweet Haven.
There's a pretty good chance you're just going to find olive oil digging in some trash there, though.
You know what? That fits the darker tone of Andor.
Yeah. Mariana asks, why does Kathleen Kennedy still have a job at this point? Well, see, these things right here, when you just follow film in general, what's happening at Lucasfilm and generally happens is not actually really any different than what just generally happens in Hollywood all the time. This is pretty much part of the course, you know? So
most studios don't put on a convention where they make a big announcement with all the actors. And, I mean, some do, right? DC's done it, you know, but didn't go so well for that crew at DC who did it too. So it is a little different, but it's at the same time, you take away that element of it, it's pretty much what happens all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and when you get down to it, like a lot of the things that have transpired don't have a lot at first to do with her. Like when the Mando movie thing was being pushed, and from my perspective of the way that I heard it, it came from Disney, and that's where the pressure began. So, you know what I mean? Yeah, the buck does stop at the top, and that's exactly what I'm saying. That Mando movie, the first part of it, I think, was a top-down endeavor. Just from how I heard it, that was how it started. And I think that you end up with them, you know, they collaborate. They are still like the same company, you know. So that is how it went, you know. But you know, at the end of the day, if I get some more Mandalorian, I get a Mando movie, and I get Andor, I'm getting my Rambo Star Wars, and I'm getting my Golden Age of Television Star Wars. And if I get those two things, I'm fairly happy, you know. I mean, I obviously things could be better. I'm not saying Kathleen Kennedy is I mean, see, on one hand, I love Kathleen Kennedy's ability to be a realist, and when something isn't working, just to go, we're done. You know what I mean? And but I also appreciate that, you know, that it, you know, she gives people their opportunities to fuck it up to some degree. But you know, I'm excited for when we do move past Kathleen Kennedy to see what happens, to see if it's different and if it's better. And I'm with you. We're like 10 years of Kathleen Kennedy. I'm like a little bit like, yeah, you know, but she's in her 70s now. I don't know how much longer she's going to want to hang out and spend the rest of her life doing Star Wars stuff. So I would imagine she will retire
Very
at
end,
some
Jason.
point. Well,
She's never leaving. She's gonna be
well,
right
it
there at the
looks
desk
like
and keel over in the writer's room.
she might. I mean, she just might love producing movies. That might be her fucking passion at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Steve Owen, thank you for the super chat. I did miss it, but when you said it, I saw it. So I apologize. Steve Owen asked, is this source, so this source is reliable or not? I'm hearing they are a right-wing nut. No, I don't know what their politics are. And there are people that are telling you like not to trust, but I mean, overall, World of Real, I mean, you could go look up their past reports and look at what they're reporting on. They don't do like as Bespin said, they don't do blockbusters a lot, but their shit's generally on. I believe Snyder has connections to them and has cited them many times before. And so once again, I don't really care about the right wing part, but the nut part is the part where you're like, yeah, you know, that doesn't sound good. But once again, when Star Wars fans hear what they don't want to hear, then you're a nut. When Bespin Bulletin reports something that they don't want to hear, he's a trust me, bro. You know what I mean? And it's like if you're asking, I think I'm just guessing, and you guys can speak for yourselves, but everybody on this panel, I think, is like, yeah, this is a reputable film website, and they are reporting it, so you should pay attention to it.
Well, Colin Llewellyn in the chat, he says World of Real is legit. I followed him for his Paul Thomas Anderson and Tarantino scoops, and that's the sort of reporting that World of Real does, and they've always been good at that. Just like Colin, I followed them for years. I just in the article, I say, just because they're good in one field doesn't mean they're going to be good in another. They don't do blockbusters. They even say in the article themselves they don't have a keen interest in Star Wars, but they've heard from what they consider a good source. And like I said, for the smaller movies, the movies that aren't Marvel and Star Wars and DC and wherever else, they've been very good for me to follow over the years through that site and through that account. I've never seen any, right-wing nut posts, as I want to call it. I haven't seen any of that. I don't follow the editor-in-chief of the site personally. I don't. I've had a look at his Twitter account recently, and I've seen nothing crazy on there. It's all pretty much just retweeting his own posts from World of Real and wherever. But again, we're covering a person that.
How much coverage on Sound of Freedom did they give? Kidding.
I don't really think they did.
How about this week?
Yeah, but no, but I mean, there
look,
are. Go ahead, Rob. Sorry.
We did some fan math right last week on this very subject, and the subject being, look, is the Rey film delayed? Indefinitely, because I'm 50-50 on this. Like, I can't see a world where they say, hey, we need to relaunch Star Wars and trim back and be blah, 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 and then release 2 Star Wars films in 1 year. Unless you're specifically trying to make sure they're so different from one another that there's 2 different audiences for that. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So that's where we were like, I guess you could, but they've never been able to do that. Like that takes a level of of effort. They are like, you know, they don't they multitask. I'm not saying, but 2 films in 1 year, like Bob Iger already apologized for doing that once before, you know? So I'm like, how do you go and make the first thing you do 2 films in 1 year after the last thing you did, you apologize for doing 2 films in 1 year? It just made no sense to me at all. Like 1 a year is one thing, but 2 within 6 months is the Matrix Revolutions. And I don't know. I've yet to see that work, by the way, where 2, you know, like they go Marvel works. I'm like, yeah, but that was like different audiences. It's been working less and less when you feel like you have to know everything that's going on in each one, you know? So it's not quite the same thing. So I'm sort of shocked when people just can't read the writing on the wall, you know, to that extent. Like,
yeah.
of course,
Well,
what's
what's going on right now is that the people who don't like what they're hearing are just trying to be like, oh, therefore a right-wing nut is saying it, therefore it's not correct.
Yeah, I don't know. Like
that's my reading of the room.
Yeah,
right now.
probably. Like I've had friends text. I fucking hate this, by the way. Right? I don't know if any of these friends are watching. Sometimes they do, and it's not
Hi,
just
friends.
specifically to them, but in general, I avoid like certain things because like it's fucking toxic and it's not good for my mental health, right? So I don't go on like certain sites and, you know, read certain comments. All throughout this fucking stream, which has been going on for like over an hour, I've had people text me shit saying like, oh, you're getting like cooked, and people like sending you abuse and doing all this stuff on Twitter because of this fucking Rey article. Like, read it. It's not my report. Like, we're covering it because it's the news and it comes from an outlet that has been reputable with non-Star Wars stuff, but have a good record. Like, people will go and do, you know, I like Snyder and I like Roka, but they'll do some topics on the hot mic from outlets I don't consider reliable, you know? And people will send us questions asking us about those outlets, and we never cover them on the site. We don't cover them on the show because the track record is non-existent or very bad.
Not worth your attention, mostly. Yeah.
No, exactly.
Yeah. So we haven't heard us talk about a what if series in recent times.
I don't want to step in that because I don't know anything about it. For the record.
But yeah, this whole thing, like, people send me the negative comments through all these other things, you know, like, and it's just, I don't give a shit. I don't read it. I try not to read it, and
I mean, I'm being facetious, Bestman, but like, do these fans really think the Mando movie and the Rey movie were coming out the same weekend?
Well,
you know, May 26, 2026.
Right.
Go see Mando or see Rey. Your choice, Rey. It's Rayenheimer.
Rob. When I said that the Mando movie was going to be a thing, these same people came out and called me an idiot, and they did the same. It is so what they do, and I hate it. I don't care about the political affiliation of either side of it in that way. What it is it's you know how that guy was doing the trust me bro thing. Well, it's the same thing, but it comes from a couple of people, and they go, trust me, bro, it's wrong. Star Wars is good, healthy, everything's fine. We're leftists over here. We never eat ourselves. And then they give themselves a clap. They pat themselves on the back. They suck each other's dicks. And then they go, we're the best. And in reality, they don't actually bring anything to the table. And it is just a gatekeeping tactic. And it's stay over here and we'll tell you what you want to hear. And it's a big waste of any adult's actual time. It's fucking high school. So if you want to go put on your makeup and look all pretty for the Twitter thing, go fucking do it. That has nothing to do with fucking reality. The reality is the fact. This is an industry issue. It's not about your fucking opinion, or it's not about what you prefer or how much you like Star Wars. This news today, are there people that will grift on it and make it evil? Fucking yeah. But don't pay attention to them. Don't say that it's not true just because you don't like the truth. It's fucking dumb. And that's why I don't like the Star Wars community online for the most part. That's why I'm like, let's just start our own tribe. You know what I mean?
That's what I did. I hung out with Jason.
Yeah,
I'm not talking to these fools about Star Wars.
No,
because the minute I complain about The Last Jedi on any level, they go, "Oh, Rob must be a right winger." The fuck I am. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah, no, there is just no room for nuance with those people because they get validation from shitting on the work of others. If all you do all day is post pretty pictures of yourself and then shit on somebody else's work when they do a report and do the digging, do the write up, do the research, and so on, you're just a fucking shithead who is literally fucking just coasting on the coattails of others' work. And believe me, there's a lot of them. I mean, it's all almost predicated upon it. I mean, they could even leverage that at us, but we are reporting on the truth, not the press reports. You know, not the press releases. And that is, I think, the difference between us, them, and the the official.
There's no agenda here
press.
Other than get Bestman and Jason paid. Someone for the love of God spend some money.
I mean, that's nice, but I mean,
no. Send super chats now or get the fuck out the chat room. right, Jason?
Whoa.
Right?
No, what? You went into a weird place, and now they're just everything I just said that just was cutting to that fucking asshole. You just literally armed them with
capitalism. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I've been watching a lot of Roku.
Well, yeah, they're.
I get on this super chat high when I watch it.
Yeah, it's a bit ridiculous. You know what I mean?
100 Sammys. Whoever sends 100 Sammys right now, we will. What will we do? What will we do? We'll send you pics of Bestman's tongue.
Yeah, you will have nightmares based off of what it looks like at the moment.
You will. You think this is bad news? Just wait till you see what Bestman.
Well, here's the thing though, and like I think that if you just want to be a reasonable person, if you want to try to be the best person you can be and a fan of things. You don't go after, I mean, if somebody's saying something like utterly egregious, like, whatever, something really terrible, then yeah, they should be named. But if a fan is talking about an idea that you don't like, you don't go make a YouTube video about them, exposing them for their shit, because that's just about you leading a targeted harassment campaign against somebody. That's literally what your goal is in that. And that's fucking shitty. Like, it's shitty. It's not fair. It would be like, if Will Morgan, I love you, Will, so I'm going to pick on you. But it's like all of a sudden Will Morgan's like, oh, I think The Last Jedi is a bad movie. And I'm like, oh, let me make a video about this guy or go do tweets and TikToks about it. It makes you a shithead. By all means, the idea, the concept, attack it all you want. But I do think when you go out after a fan of the same thing that you're a fan of because you don't like the fucking truth, that's fucking bullshit. And then the idea that Bespin Bulletin, who is covering the news of the day as it is being made, that does not make him complicit in any kind of political action whatsoever. That's you being a fucking idiot and a fucking asshole. That's all that it is at the end. That's it. You're a fucking loser who can't do anything on your own. You can't get attention in a way that makes you happy doing what you like to do. So therefore, you must cut down others' fucking work. You must cut down all of the stuff that they do and go after them because you're a fucking loser. And I know for a fact the number one guy who's doing this right now would not fucking do it to my face because he's a fucking coward. He would not at all. He's a fucking pussy. And that's all that he will ever be. And it's fucking embarrassing when you're like a 50-year-old dude going on TikTok going after people about Star Wars content. What a fucking man, baby. You're as bad as the right-wingers you make fun of. You are as pathetic as those people. It's fucking embarrassing. It's fucking stupid. It's just so fucking tiring.
Bespin's had to hide out in a wet field for you people, right? What do you give him? What do you give? Who else here has done that, Jason? Like you hung out in a parking garage with a coffee. You were like George Lucas on the prequel sets, just sitting there comfortably. But Bespin, he was out in the real world, right?
The funny thing is the fucking guy, one of the guys who's out there doing it right now is like, please, Jason, can I be on your podcast network? It would really help me. And then now he's like, I'm gonna go after people. What? I'm not even gonna say his fucking name. I won't give him the fucking.
Listen, again. Mm-hmm. It's not everybody in the fandom, of course. And it's like, when we,
of course,
the reason they come on this show is because I obviously you two are my friends, and that's
Yeah.
the biggest incentive. And the people in the chat are always great. They're always nice people. Same thing with Sana and his chat as well. You know.
And
So,
we have compromising lewds of Bespin, so he's sort of obligated.
right. Yeah.
Right.
Rob also pays me $5 a month to do some work on this.
I do. I actually pay.
So,
I pay him.
So yeah, I don't know. Like that. So I don't really interact that much on social media or wherever else anymore with Star Wars stuff. Not because I dislike Star Wars. I love Star Wars. It's my favorite franchise. But I have to try and keep it in a bubble, you know,
Yeah.
like with just friends or whatever. So like today, like I said, I've had all these friends texting me throughout the show, being like, all these people on Twitter are coming for you, blah blah blah, like all this stuff, and I'm like, listen, I'm not even doing shit. Like, you read the article,
Yeah.
like which most, you know, the vast majority. This happened similarly, like in the summer, where I was like, the SAG-AFTRA strike. What does it mean for Star Wars? And then you had all those people who didn't read anything, just trying to come for it. And it was like, and again, they're doing it today, and it's not even my report. It's World of Reels. I just covered it because they have exclusives, not pertaining to Star Wars necessarily, but in general that are correct and have been. And then today, if you read the article, I think the article is fair. I'm not saying
Mhm.
World of Real are 100% right. I say that just because they are good in their area of the field doesn't mean they can come to the Star Wars one and be right. Doesn't
Well, but
necessarily
Bespin,
translate.
here's Bespin. Why didn't you go check the political affiliation of this man before you covered him? Or are you crazy? I mean,
Probably.
that's the kind of like goalpost moving that these idiots do.
But it's not even
You
that. It's
know,
just like
it's-
people on Twitter going like they doing it for clickbait and for ads and for to make. I don't even have Twitter Blue, but to make Twitter Blue money and all this stuff. And I'm like,
Yeah, you don't have it.
like I make fuck all from doing this. Like
Yeah.
I make so little from doing any of this. Like
It's $5 a month.
yeah, like
I can
I don't-
confirm.
I make hardly anything from doing this. Never really have made much from ever doing it. And you know, I've always said before in the past that like I've dabbled in the idea of like a prolonged break or like an exit.
Mhm.
And it's just like because, and again, it's not the fandom. It's not all the fandom. Most people are nice. Like it's just the cesspool on like certain sites, and it's like it just encourages like why even be part of it? Why give people the news of just going to become attacked essentially, or like I don't know, like I don't think I've done anything wrong today. I've
No,
covered an article.
you
haven't done
covered
anything
the
wrong.
news. You covered the news. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. There was no exclusive information in your report that I could recall. There was nothing, but at the same time, they have not discredited the report either. So the one thing that you could have done wrong was, as an editor, picked a piece of dog shit to cover. But there is absolutely no evidence at this moment that you've done that, and that they are dog shit, and they're not dog shit. So it's once again, it's these people trying to use you to get validation because they're fucking pathetic. They're lame. They suck. They're bored. They don't get validation and attention in life. And then they want it through this, but they don't know how to do it in a way that doesn't come down to attacking others. And that's just what it is. And it's there's nothing you can do about it. That's why like Shogun says, sounds like Jason's got a personal beef. No, I don't actually have like a personal, like I ignore this person all the time. I get more mad when I see other people getting picked on by it. That's actually when I get more angry.
Yeah, we
surprisingly.
defend our friends when they're wrongfully maligned.
And
Unlike you cowards.
And if Bespin fucked up today, we would be ribbing him playfully. It would be hilarious. We'd be clowning on him for it if it was like, But at the same time, I mean, like when we're doing what we do, we report on the as accurate as we can, the truth as often as we can. And every single time that's but when it's somebody else's thing, you're like, oh, I'm thinking this must have some merit to it. But that's one of the things as an editor that you must do. That's why, when you see like, oh, people are saying, the Rey movie is offensive to this and that, and there's like one guy on Twitter, that's a bad editorial decision. I would make fun of Bespin if he did that too. You know what I mean? Like at the same
Santa
time.
literally wears a red hat, and we trust his ass every year to come down our chimney and give us.
Yeah.
Right? Come on.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah, like I said, we this person, one of them anyways, I've ignored for like 2 years, 3 years now. And it's like it's just them trying to become a valid person when they're not. They don't have anything to offer, and they haven't since the 1990s when they got hired to scribble a fucking dumb article in a magazine about Star Wars once. It's fucking
it's just so frustrating on many levels. Only because like I don't think I've done clickbait like ever really. You know, I don't think like any exclusive information I've had, I usually share with you and we discuss it, trying to get it more backed up through like possibly your sources or wherever else. We always do the work and the due diligence on a story, right?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
anytime I've done an exclusive, it's like, okay, like there's work that's gone into it. And then you and we built up reputations of being reliable because of that information that we've got correct over the years. And then on top of that, when I cover like an outlet, you know, that's what I do. Like I cover the Star Wars news and I try and make it more informed. So I like in this one, I added all the details from the past Snyder reports. I used quotes from you from last week when you had your own update on the Stephen Knight project, and I never really force my own opinions in there. And which way, I just leave it as my personality's in there. You know, when I say I'm the destroyer of joy and whatever, like of course, like but
you're allowed. You wrote the fucking article.
But look, I did journalism in high school for 3 years, right? I'm an expert. Okay, I got a letter from this. What?
I didn't.
I got my I lettered, Jason.
I ain't no nerd.
All right.
Were you on yearbook too, you geek?
No, we didn't get along with the yearbook people.
Fuck those guys.
But it's so ridiculous because it's like we've built a reputation of being reliable. That's what people follow and respond to us. And then you cover the news, and it's like so it's not your report, it's not your exclusive, and then people attack you for it. And it's like, well, I'm just covering what was already out there from an account that I consider reliable. Like I said, we don't cover accounts that we don't think of that have a bad reputation, and it's just all these things on multiple levels. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what am I doing this wrong? What am I doing this so offensive? I understand that people don't like spoilers, and I told you a spoiler for Ahsoka or something. I understand that. I understand why your friend did that. But like, I don't get it when it's just like, yeah, we're covering the news. If you click the article and read that from me covering this person, and I even say in the article, just because they're good in one field doesn't mean they're good in another. So I don't, you know what I mean? I really don't know.
Dude, once again, there's about a 90% chance that these people think indefinitely delayed means it's never happening and it's canceled. And that when in a year or two, when they pick back up and it goes into production, then they're going to call you wrong.
Has it been greenlit?
You know what I mean?
Been greenlit? Has it
been
greenlit?
It was not greenlit.
Are you certain?
Yeah, no. There's a good chance that that's exactly what we are dealing with, because they liked some video game and indefinitely delayed was their way of not admitting it was done and that they were just done. But with Star Wars, they always use indefinitely delayed, obviously, because nothing's ever, concepts. Rogue Squadron, it's fucking canceled. That shit's canned. It ain't happening. But it's also going to happen someday. So that's why they'll just always say it was indefinitely delayed. In this instance, though, I believe that the usage of indefinitely delayed was correct.
Oh, yeah, absolutely is.
And even without that, though, just the fact that Mandalorian and Grogu was announced confirms it.
And is lead in the slate.
Yeah.
It's lead in the slate. And the next Star Wars movie dated is May 22nd, 2026.
Right.
So chances are it's going to fall on that date, which we believe is when Rey would fall. Mm-hmm. But if it hasn't got a date,
I'm saying, do they really think that two fucking movies were coming out the same weekend? Like, that's been my whole...
Yeah.
Like, this is not... This isn't really, I'm the first one to throw shade on fan math, but this is not. Star Wars is gonna market 2 separate Star Wars films for the same week. All right, folks.
Yeah, and like there's so what's happened though over the years when you have like your Cameron Pasha type guys going, there's a Lucasfilm Civil War, and I'm doing my voodoo magic to view Jon Favreau and Kathleen Kennedy's desk and that kind of bullshit. That's what they're trying to equate your work with today, as if you reported on that. That's a fucking, and it's an ocean of difference. And the fact that they are trying to equate the two just shows how they woke up today and they're like a little bit like, oh man, I don't feel so good about me. Oh man, I wish I was part of the story. I wish people were looking at little old me today. And then they go and they fucking do it, you know? And I know, I could tell at this point the difference between when somebody does something because they want to spark the conversation and they want to set the tone about what we're talking about today in the Star Wars game, and the people that want to make it a mirror where they are looking at themselves, looking at their belly button, fingering it, navel gazing. Yeah. That's
in your book, people just put their friends in the fucking book, right, Jason? Journalists, right? The school newspaper, we get actual news. We go out there and get the real facts, okay? Okay? That's how it works. Yeah, well, but Real Ben Maynard says, I think people are missing the fact that it was not even his exclusive he was reporting on. It was the world of real. And I don't get what's on with these people. Yeah, exactly. That's the whole thing. But they don't care because they're willing to throw somebody else under the bus because validation, it's a fucking sickness. It truly is. It just is. Can we talk about one more thing before we go?
Can
we pivot to one last thing here?
Okay.
Can I share something with you people? Because I think this is really important. All right.
Are you lactose intolerant?
No, we need to talk about Harlan Ellison.
Okay? Oh no, no.
Yeah.
No, I don't care.
Harlan Ellison and James Cameron. We need to clear the legal air here, folks.
Bestman, save me. Help me, Bestman.
No.
Bestman, can you make up a report about how Rob perished this morning in a lawnmower accident and froze to death in his front yard?
We need to talk about facts here because I just want to go down the
Bestman. You killed
every
Bestman.
Time I bring up James Cameron, someone has to go, oh, Harlan Ellison sued him because this acknowledgement to the works of Harlan Ellison appears in the movie The Terminator. And I want to explain to you how all this happened. The website James Cameron Online, right, which was the guys I used to do this podcast with, a guy named David Brennan, cover this in extensive detail over the Harlan Ellison bullshit shakedown lawsuit to Orion, in which he got paid $400,000 and got a credit on the Terminator. But Harlan Ellison himself, right? And I could read this whole article too, and I actually would like to, but I think Jason would probably put his head through a wall. Basically comes down to, here's the story. The story is called The Soldier. I'm going to read this little excerpt right here, and we can go over the actual shots. In the 2009 book, The Futurist, Cameron finally vented on the issue. It was a nuisance suit that could easily have been fought. I expected Hemdale and Orion to fight for my rights, but they abandoned me. The insurance company told me I didn't agree to the settlement. They would come after me personally for the damages if they lost the suit. Having no money at the time, I had no choice but to agree to the settlement. Of course, this was a gag order as well, so I couldn't tell the story, but now I frankly don't care. It's the truth. Harlan Ellison is a parasite who can kiss my ass.
Okay. Is he dead? He's dead, right?
Yeah, he's dead. Yeah, he's dead. But this was written before he was dead. So these guys knew about the bullshit litigious nature of Harlan Ellison at this time. And I'm not speaking to the quality of him as a writer. Harlan Ellison was a brilliant writer, but there was a reason why he pissed off everyone he ever worked with and why he's not brought up in the same vein as, say, an Asimov and a Ray Bradbury, because his peers generally didn't fucking like him. And here's why. Now let's take a look at the basic story of The Soldier, right? So this.
Hold on one second. It was a higher up at Disney that I know just told me, gave me a thumbs up on that article in general.
Okay. So I want to bring this up.
Validated. Bestman is validated as far as I'm concerned.
Wants to bring up we got to go back now because
Will Wheaton. Quote tweet it. Say, I'm
going to bring this up because okay, great. Ellison says the incident started like this.
Who cares about Ellison? Why are we talking about Ellison, Rob? What's happening?
We gave you an hour and a half. All right, an hour and a half we gave you to this. So because Will Morgan wants to go, it's The Soldier and Demon with the Glass Hand. It isn't, Will. You just remember this because people tell you this stuff. But I'm going to bring you actual facts because we're here about facts, right, Jason? Ellison says the incident started like this. This is Harlan Ellison's own words. Before Terminator came out, I began to hear from people. Gee, there's this script that they're going to shoot, and it reads an awful lot like your script for Soldier. The Soldier script that Ellison is referring to is one of 2 teleplays he wrote for the anthology series The Outer Limits. The second script he wrote for that series was called Demon with the Glass Hand. Ellison continues, now Soldier had been available on video cassette for many years. Demon with the Glass Hand had won all the awards, but Soldier was right there in popularity. He doesn't actually, but he goes on to say that Demon and Glass Hand is not part of that suit and never had a thing to do with how he felt he was ripped off. So not Demon with the Glass Hand. It's bullshit. Now, the basic thing comes down to the story of the Soldier right here. Now, let's take a look at the basic story for Soldier. Here's a quick synopsis offered by Wikipedia, blah, blah, blah. 1,800 years in the future, 2 foot soldiers clash on a battlefield.
Wait, 2 feet? Like little guys? Like little tiny guys?
2 foot soldiers. Yeah, from the Foot Clan. A random energy weapon strikes both, and they are hurled into a time vortex. While one soldier is trapped in the matrix of time, the other,
Neo?
Carlo Cloberghini, materializes on a city street in the year 1964. Carlo is soon captured and interrogated by Tom Kagan, a philologist, and his origin is discovered. Carlo has been trained for one purpose, fighting, and that's all he knows. Progress is made in taming him. Eventually, Carlo comes to live with the Kagan family. But by the time Eddie's holding, the enemy soldier slowly weakens. He finally materializes fully and tracks Carlo to the Kagan home. In a final hand-to-hand battle, Carlo sacrifices his life to kill the enemy and save the Kagan family. In that entire synopsis, merely one sentence parallels the Terminator. Carlo Cloberghini materializes on a city street in the year 1964. That's it. By Harlan's own admission,
84, 64.
The similarities
What's the diff?
between the 2 stories are the very beginning. That's it. He says, and here's what he says, but if you took the first 3 minutes of the Terminator, they are not only similar but exact. The first 3 minutes.
Rob is just killing the show. I'm just watching it die.
Yeah,
I'm just watching.
That's what I'm trying to do.
You got your boot on the neck of the show.
It's a good cool down. It's a good cool down. So yeah, that's it. That's it. There ain't no romance, Kyle and Sarah. There ain't no humanity. Unborn humanity will save the war.
I'm blaming the chat.
Cyborg. There's no endoskeleton. There's no liquid metal. Nothing. It's bullshit. It's a bullshit suit. And Harlan fucking sued another thing right before he died. A movie
I just hope James Cameron doesn't die broke now.
Huh? I know, right? I know. Well, far from that. Look, at the end of the day, right? You guys can go read the fucking facts here, right? I'll send the link. There you go. Yeah, there's the facts. There's the facts, buddy.
We can just do that. Oh, you send it everywhere. Yeah. You're nuts.
I send it everywhere. They're all getting it. They're all getting that fucking facts right there. Right? And I'm just tired of it because Harlan Ellison, because this litigious nature of our fucking like there's real times to sue over bullshit. Like when Eddie Murphy stole Coming to America from the screenwriter, that was legit. Or that time Pixar stole the little green monster from Cool Daddy Roth, right? Which you probably don't know about. That was a real fucking thing. This is bullshit. This is a total bullshit fucking nonsense.
Colin says James Cameron fucked my mom and told me he got the idea from Harlan Ellison.
No, that's true. But only when he was on mushrooms. Okay. That's how that works. So.
Wait, am I James Cameron? Whoa.
James,
you blew my mind.
Well, like I said.
Yeah.
Just listen to her. I did. They quote him fully in the article, Will. You're the only person who's misinformed. Nutball. So
I'm siding with Will on this one. I think Ellison had a case.
Yeah, I know.
I think isn't Will following up a thing he said earlier that Rob does sound like Ellison?
Was that what he said?
He said earlier that he sounds like Rob.
I would never. Look, I agree with Ellison's take on Star Wars. Darth Vader can go suck an egg. I agree with that. That all being said, like saying, hey. I wrote a story in which some soldier went through time and something happened is not enough to fucking go around suing people and winning. You know, it's just because he had the name Harlan Ellison, production companies were afraid to go into court over it and just would settle out. That he learned he can do that, and that's helped pave the way for a lot of bullshit since then. You know, I mean, our courts are constantly in the U.S. You know, out there in the UK, they actually can't. There's frivolous lawsuit laws out in different countries, but here. You can just bankrupt somebody by dragging them into court for no other reason, even if you intend to lose it. Your whole goal is to bankrupt them by taking them to court. And that's sort of Harlan's threat. He wanted to bankrupt the upcoming filmmaker just because he could get some money out of a studio rather than go write a new fucking story. So, like, that's a real fucking problem. you know, like, and I don't know how what he gets a pass at it because what he wrote fucking the best episode of Star Trek. Who gives a shit, you know?
He wrote Star Trek.
He wrote The City on the Edge of Tomorrow, the one
Okay.
episode in the OG trilogy. Even then, Harlan hated what they did with this. But he wrote the best episode of Star Trek. Well, fucking Harlan hated what they did with this story. Harlan was just a cantankerous fucking dude, you know? Like, he'd make a great movie. Like, a great movie could be made from Harlan Ellison because he was really charismatic in that way. But he was a real fucking pain in the ass, you know?
Right.
And James Cameron didn't steal shit from him. So there you go.
Well, I'm now officially just going to ban the word Harlan Ellison from ever just coming up in the chat again.
Yeah. Look, Jason. Rey is nobody. All right.
As far as I'm concerned, she's a big old nobody.
Rey is no movie. How about that?
Well, you see, what you have to understand is we reported this on this story today because we were like, oh, you know what? Rey's said something. It's time to let the men talk. Let's make a Mando movie. That's where we all came from, right? That's the implication, Charlie. The implication. Terminator is just Book of Joel from the Bible. Okay, you lost. Okay, Will, leave him alone, Will. Please, Will. I have to live with this guy.
Will.
You get to go, Will. You get to leave. He comes to Fortnite now, and it won't stop, Will. Please, Will, for me.
Yeah.
Please, Will. But all right, guys, we did.
Can we get a Harlan Ellison skin for Fortnite?
Man,
no.
So,
can we get a sticker in the chat of Harlan Ellison? Like, can we make those? I also understand it one where he's like, you know, where he's stressed the fuck out because he has to listen to you and Rob Dog. You know?
Yeah. All right, there he is. We love you, Santa. All right, everybody. We'll be back tomorrow. If any breaking news happens or this develops in any,
if I make anything up.
Yeah, if Bespin makes any bullshit up between now and then, just to get you mad, just to get you angry, you know. But yeah, you know, I don't know. I guess I'll have to go find a YouTube channel that could explain Star Wars to me. All right, I'll see everybody tomorrow. Bye, guys. Thanks for joining us today, Bespin and Rob.
Yeah, fuck Harlan Ellison. Yeah. That's right. Except I agree with the Star Wars takes. I agree with him there.
Nope.
So praise Harlan Ellison.
Nope. This is the internet. There's no room for subtlety. You're either all right or all wrong. All right or all wrong, Rob. All right, all wrong. Pick.
You got Rob.
You on his side?